Hi, Juliet.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
I should apologize to you. I don't know if you noticed, I boomered and I put your face on before we started the intro. A stray mouse click, and there was Juliet looking like a deer in the headlights.
Oh, dear.
Welcome, everyone, to Narrative Dissonance here on Unsafe Space. Sorry, we're starting a few minutes late. Many things conspired against us today, not the least of which was that Argentina went to a shootout against Netherlands, which made me start my whole process later than I was supposed to. And then we all had technical issues, but you don't need to hear about all that. You're watching Narrative Dissonance on Unsafe Space. I'm Carter. That's Juliet. And below us both. Are you working there, Keith? Is your audio working?
Yeah, I think so. Is that better?
I think so. I think there's a little bit of white noise in the background, but it's not horrible. Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of white noise with Keith. Welcome everyone who's in chat. I'm getting myself organized. Keith disappeared again. Awesome. All right. Well, Narrative Dissonance is a show that we used to do every Monday at 2 p.m. Now we do it every Friday at 2 p.m. We just talk about the week's news. It's kind of casual. We basically don't do really many shows anymore. We're mostly written content. We have an abstract, which comes out. It's a weekly newsletter called The Abstract, which comes out every Saturday morning, gives you access to, news of the week, stuff we've written. We're also trying to put some of it into audio format. So The Abstract, for example, is in audio format. If you're on the list for The Abstract, you just click on the link at the top and you can hear it instead of reading it, for those of you who like to listen. And we're trying to do that more and more with articles, although we don't do that with all of our articles quite yet. Is there any other housekeeping I need to think about, Julia?
Book club January 8th. I don't know the date, but
here, I'll look it up.
January,
yes, National Divorce.
January 8th.
All right. Okay, I was right. All right. And hey, everybody in chat, it's super thin. Unlike some of the other things,
I didn't realize it was that thin.
Yeah, we've made you read really long books lately. This one's really thin, so.
Awesome.
It's the Christmas selection, and I'm the host. Oh, also it's free, but you have to read Tom Wood's emails to get it for free. But they're pretty fun. So check it out.
Fair enough. All righty. Let me pull up chat so I can see. All right. I don't think there's anything else that we desperately need to cover. Keith, I can see, already has some stuff queued up that he wants to talk about. So maybe we should let you go first, Keith. What's on your mind?
Oh, put me on the spot, huh? Okay.
Well, you're the one who's got like a.
I do have some stuff queued up. Yeah. That was okay. So I have that ready. So I heard this is a news show. So I checked out the latest news. So I figured we should start with the biggest news story. So I looked at some of the definitive sources here, and I found one. So here's what I found as the biggest news story today.
Yeah.
I gotta pop this one up because that other one. So this.
According to.
So I looked at the definitive. Right. The definitive place to get news is YouTube. So this morning I got on YouTube. What's the biggest story? Brittany Griner arrives in the U.S. That's the #1 story today. Then the second story is the Brittany Griner prison swap. So I thought, well, maybe this isn't the best place. So I looked at the New York Times. And they agree. Brittany Griner lands in the U.S. That's the
biggest story.
According to them, but that wasn't actually what I prepared for. So I'm gonna have to talk about a different story.
Let me see if I can find it. There was a. Yeah, now I don't know if I can even find it. I'll look for it. There's a tweet thread about how. I think actually maybe Alex shared it with us. There's a tweet thread about how I think it was ABC. Was it ABC or NBC? Did you guys see this? Do you remember about how the original story about this was that Biden had a choice between releasing Brittany Griner and Paul Whelan, and then they changed the story without any explanation after Biden made his did his press conference and made his little announcement and said that there was basically no choice. It was either Brittany Griner or no one. Those were the choices.
What a choice.
That they changed. They changed it, but they did it kind of on the DL, a little bit stealthy, and they didn't explain why they corrected their story. I'm sure there could be a completely, legitimate explanation, like it was just a mistake early. But it does leave you wondering, since we are very aware of mainstream media's ability and eagerness with which they carry water for the Democrats. Like, I don't know, maybe.
And it's possible, like Joe Biden, he may never heard of Julian Assange or Chelsea Manning or some of these.
Well, it was Paul Whelan that he had definitely heard of, right?
He didn't want him, but yeah, I think a sports player is the best. Even without an election coming up, sports player is the best. I mean, YouTube and New York Times proves that it was the right choice.
It was the right choice politically.
Also,
go ahead.
Anecdotally, something interesting. I unfortunately have some woke friends, woke adjacent, and they're furious about this. So whatever PR,
they're furious about Griner.
Yeah. They are even like, what she did would be illegal here. It sucks for her, but it's not like it was some unjust arrest. Whereas, I think a lot of people still are like, okay, we left a Marine there that was accused of espionage with no real evidence, but we brought back the girl who what she did would be illegal in our own country. So it's just interesting. I don't think it's going to gain them the brownie points they thought they were going to get out of this.
Well, I don't know. Keith's argument is that the New York Times and YouTube both like it. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean in chat I see a really good counter argument from your friend Paul. Paul says women's basketball is hardly a sport, so I don't know how to argue with that.
All right.
Well, maybe if Paul Whelan had a better 3-point percentage, he would be on a plane home as well.
All right.
So
I could go to the second most important story, which is the one that I originally started with.
Sure, yeah. What's the second most important one?
Okay, I'm going to add this to the stream.
That's the one I saw you had queued up. You faked me out.
Well, I didn't realize there was something more important. Anyway, this one is the House passed a record NDAA. That's the National Defense Authorization Act. That's the bill that pays the Pentagon and all the people who are engaged in wars. So this one's $858 billion. The House just passed it. It's a bipartisan. It was a 350 to 80. So this is the uniparty team saying, go war. We need more wars. It's an 8% increase over last year. So we need 8% more wars, according to the Republicans and Democrats.
Well, there's inflation. We need at least the same amount of wars, but they cost more now.
That's true. And that may be why the White House only requested less than this. The House had to add $45 billion because the White House didn't request enough. So maybe Joe forgot about inflation. I don't know. I don't know where the extra $45 billion, but Joe Biden's a cheapskate. He's anti-war cheapskate, I guess. Does he think Putin and the CCP are going to kill us? So no, the House fixed that problem. One of the articles I read said that the president was rebuked for not requesting enough money. So anyway, this is the new record.
That's unfair because I doubt he had anything to do with it. But
that's true. That's always
his office. Point. Yeah, they can rebuke the administration, but let's be honest. He's
Yeah. Does he?
They dust him off and stick in front of a podium once in a while. I don't know. There's much else going on.
So this is good. Go ahead.
You know who else spent a ton of money on national defense before we were at war with anybody? FDR.
FDR.
Started spending the money several years before.
But
Just
but that was
World
War II.
You have to prep for a surprise attack.
Right. No, you have to prepare the machine, get it pumping before you can actually enter the war. No,
I think it was public knowledge he wanted to go to war, even though he told the people he didn't want to go to war to get elected. I think everyone kind of knew that he wanted to.
He ran as a pacifist.
Yeah, I mean, relatively speaking, you have to keep in mind that was World War II. I mean, that only lasted 4 years. Like, wars now last 20.
Well,
and you know, the COVID war, they spent I think it's 5.2 trillion on the COVID war. They only spent 4 trillion on World War II. You know, like, so, I mean, what's more important? FDR is just practice for what we have now.
Oh yeah.
So you can topple Nazi dictatorships more cheaply than you can do any of the things that we're doing today, basically.
At least you can see a Nazi. You know, virus is pretty hard to shoot. And you know, so there's that advantage to the war. I mean, if the purpose is never-ending war, I can't think of something better than a virus. It's better than the war on poverty, the war on terrorism. Like, how do you know when you won?
Right.
So a virus. So
anyway, we have a lot of unwinnable wars. Poverty.
Well, that's the key. Yeah.
Terrorism, drugs.
That's the trick, right? You declare
racism.
Declaring war on inanimate objects was the biggest breakthrough in authoritarianism. It was like one of the biggest breakthrough in their ideology. Was someone, I don't know who came up with that idea. What if we declare a war on an inanimate object? Like
an idea that exists. Yeah,
that's even better than a weed that like grows out in the backyard if you throw some seeds out.
Well, that's also an inanimate, but or a war on a concept, a war on like what was the first one? It was probably poverty, or what do you think it was? Although I don't know, maybe FDR had wars on unemployment. I don't know.
Yeah, it depends on how far back you go. You want to go back to the War of 1812, or I'm not sure how far back you want me to go.
Well, it wasn't a war on 1812. I don't think that's.
I mean, the Enlightenment.
That's a bad idea because it ends at some point. 1812 is over. You can't.
What was the war? You know, the Enlightenment that kind of ended the war between on Protestants by Catholics. Or
sure, but those are real enemies. Like those aren't just concepts, right? Okay. I'm talking about war on poverty, war on drugs.
Yeah. And so this 858 billion, this isn't a war. This isn't part of the war on poverty or a virus or weed or this is an actual war where you kill people with bombs. Like directly, like you drop bombs on their heads. That's what this war's about. Right. That's the Pentagon's wars. They're not like pretending. They're pretending there's an enemy. You know, the Russian bear. Out of Stokes. So anyway, this story's interesting. This is a Dave DeCamp wrote this in. You could say the original one's in antiwar.com. This is the Libertarian Institute reprint of it, which was the first one I saw.
I mean, look, Keith. In fairness, I think our grandkids are good for it, right? With interest, what'll we owe? For that.
And we need weapons. So yeah, some of the great things in here. So I was reading through what it does. So there's 10 billion. To Taiwan. That's interesting. That's for the backlog. They call it the backlog of U.S. military sales. So there's 10 billion to help Taiwan gear up for the war with China. There's 11.5 billion for the new thing called the Pacific Deterrence Initiative, which I hadn't heard before. This is a new investment to build up U.S. military forces in Asia Pacific to confront China. So expect more ships in the South China Sea. There's only 800 million for Ukraine. That was the first thing I looked in at.
Well, we've already been giving them billions. So.
800 million's pretty good. I mean, but
it's pretty good. Right. It's pretty good. But the reason for that is that Ukraine isn't funded this way by NDAA. That's all emergency. So, you know, the White House just requested 37 billion more for Ukraine for basically ammo, mostly for ammo, some butter, but mostly guns. But that's all emergency funds. That comes out of a different pot. That's not out of this, 900 billion. Yeah. So that's, to keep the man of the year, Zelensky, and like ammo and RPGs, right?
Yeah.
Probably Hunter Biden. But we better, you'd have to retract if we start talking about what Hunter Biden gets. Yeah, better not go there. We want to keep our YouTube channel. So another thing, I can scroll through this, but I just made a list to make it quicker.
Yeah. What? Yeah.
A lot of this article. Okay. A lot of this article. I'm just going to leave it to the highlights so people show it. I guess interesting, if that's the right word. I made a list of the things that were dropped because this is actually a compromise bill. So I was curious, like, okay, the House just passed it. What's the chance of the Senate passing it? And I didn't know that this was actually a compromise bill from last summer when the Senate tried to pass this.
Oh, I see. This is the reduced version, I assume.
This is the compromise. You know,
they increased. They increased by compromising, right? What do they do?
No. They decreased. They took away.
Okay.
Yeah, they took away a bunch of things. This is to get the Senate to rubber stamp it. So as best I can tell, it looks like the Senate's going to rubber stamp it. It's going to the Senate next week. Somebody will tell Biden to sign it and hand him the pen. Make sure he's got the pen in the right hand, and he'll sign it. So anyway, the compromise. I'm just going to run down this list pretty quick, and you guys can.
This is stuff they took out, right? To be clear,
they took this out to make sure the Senate would pass it. Because if the House didn't take this stuff out, the Senate would not have passed it.
Okay.
So this is a compromise. So number one, they dropped the House provision that complicated arm transfers to countries and irregular forces in gray zones that have human rights concerns. So the Senate, get that out of there. We can't have that. It moves 100.
So they need to be able to move money to gray zones easily and quickly.
Not money, weapons. Okay. Yeah, weapons. To countries.
No weapons. Okay.
Irregular forces, which is terrorist organizations, in gray zones that have human rights concerns.
Which is every gray zone. I mean, we have human rights concerns. So
and all
everywhere in the earth. There's no place on the earth you can't make a good argument there's not human rights problems.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess maybe that's why they take it. Anyway, number two, it moves $100 million that was to train Ukrainian pilots to fly U.S. fighter aircraft. It gets rid of that. It takes that out. I didn't finish yet. Sounds good, but there's a comma. There's a comma. After the comma, it's because they scaled up the Ukrainian security assistance funding and they added that $100 million there, and that's in a separate pot of money. So they're going to train them. I think that's part of the move that eventually they're going to get, F-22s or whatever in there. Okay, number three, they dropped the ban on arms sales to any government that committed genocide. You can't.
Wait, there was a ban on governments that committed genocide and they dropped it?
Yeah, that was in the House bill. The original House bill had a ban on governments, on giving arms to governments that committed genocide. And the Senate made them drop that, so it would pass.
I wonder who specifically.
Which governments are they thinking about? Yeah,
right. Like who did we want to open that up to? I'm very curious.
That's a good question. I have to dig a little further.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking, Juliet. Like where is this? Which governments are you wanting? What is it preventing you from doing? Because that's what I'm very curious.
I think it's Saudi Arabia. Maybe.
Maybe.
Turkey?
Saudi Arabia could be one. Yemen. You heard about what's going on.
Oh, Yemen.
Could be Saudi Arabia.
China. Well, I mean, we like to fund both sides of things. So
no, we fund China by interest on T-bills.
Right. Yeah. China.
They're fine.
They're fine. Yeah.
The China funding is completely above board. It doesn't go through the CIA. It's just
gosh.
And they're fine. They know how to make nuclear weapons. Like they don't need our help with that. Okay, number four, they dropped the limit on future offensive arms sales to Saudi Arabia, which was in there because they said that unless Saudi Arabia stopped targeting dissidents home and abroad, they weren't going to give them any more offensive arms. So that was dropped.
Oh, but yes, we will, even if they don't stop targeting dissidents at home.
No, they can do
sure.
Targeted,
the arms, it's okay.
And it may be because the CIA targets dissidents at home and abroad, so maybe they thought it was, they really couldn't say
maybe
that.
Saudi Arabia would. What if you ask us to target dissidents at home and abroad?
That would be complicated.
That would be too complicated.
Okay, then there's another complication. They dropped. There was some complications on the pending sale of 70 F-16s to Turkey. because the complication was that the House provision required steps to ensure that Turkey would stop violating Greek airspace for the sale to go through, and the Senate made them pull that out.
Oh.
Okay.
So there's 70 new F-16s, and they already know how to fly them. Turkey's already got plenty of them. So they and then number 6, I got bored a little bit, or I was laughing too much. On number 6, they dropped a ban that the House had on transferring 2 guided missile frigates to Egypt.
Okay.
They've been sold to Pakistan, Bahrain, Egypt, Turkey, Australia, some other ones. So there's 2 more that are in process of being sold to Egypt right now, and the House wanted to ban that. They're not happy with Egypt having some more. Egypt already has some, but it's a bargain basement sale. I don't know. Maybe we should just take the cash and
So
run.
wait a minute. I've got a question here.
Okay.
How much of this stuff? Well, I guess you're going through a list of things that have been canceled or taken out. But how much of this bill? I mean, everything we're talking about here so far is foreign related. Like it's us giving stuff to other countries or selling it, I guess, in some cases.
Well,
how much of this whole thing is like just buying stuff for other people, and how much of it is?
I can do. I mean,
you know?
I was going to bring this up as another. This is kind of an unrelated.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't mean to derail.
Yeah.
Continue.
No, it's good. Well, that was all the number 6. I'll bring that up when we're done this one. But a lot of this, like for instance, 10 billion to Taiwan, that's to help them with a roadblock on buying U.S. weapons. Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, the cast of characters. I didn't find out. I tried to look, but it seems like, I'm guessing a little bit or speculating, the roadblock is they don't have enough money. So we're giving them tax money. But that whole 10 billion, it's a roadblock. What's the roadblock?
It's
not
like
that they don't want to sell it.
Present.
They're fixing.
Hey, Congress, there's a roadblock for my private jet. I don't have the money. Can you just get rid of the roadblock for me?
You do 10 billion. It's called a roadblock. They called it a roadblock.
Wow.
So they eliminated the roadblock. And they're eliminating a roadblock by giving them $10 million in cash, which they're going to use to complete the sale of American.
Wait, 10 million?
10 billion. Excuse me, 10 billion.
Oh, I was like, that's tiny. What? Oh.
No, billion. No, billion. No, the only number I found in the whole thing that was in millions was 800 million to Ukraine. That was the smallest number. Because that got moved somewhere else. And that was just for training pilots on planes they don't have yet. So somebody thinks it's a good idea to train Ukrainian pilots on planes they don't have in Ukraine. They don't know how to service. They don't have the arms for them. They don't know how to service them. There's no one there that can fix them, keep them flying. There's no one there that knows how to fly them. They use different weapons.
That sounds like a flaw.
Ukrainians fly Russian planes. They fly Russian
Well, of course they do.
They don't know how to. That's part of the whole deal.
And they
with
shoot
Poland.
Russian missiles, as we've learned, I guess.
Yeah, true.
Including at Poland, right? The 2
right.
farmers.
Valid point, yeah.
The 2 Polish farmers found out about Russian. Anyway, so that was the number 6. Oh, and Carter, by the way, just like kind of as an aside, they're Oliver Hazard Perry class missile frigates, the 1970s design. They're not Aegis. Carter and I both, that's how we met, was working. We both worked on Aegis missile cruisers, which are way more powerful. Like
I was going to ask, are we
through a bedroom window kind of thing?
Yeah, no. I mean, the tech was cool. Were we gonna? Didn't we? I think we can say we're live, so I guess we can't say it that people will show up at my house. But I'm pretty sure it's common knowledge. Didn't we sell stuff to? Didn't we weren't we making stuff for the Taiwan army at some point? Decades ago.
Sure.
And we've been supplying them for. I think I remember supplying stuff to them.
I mean, anybody that's I don't remember selling anything specific. I can't remember L3.
Well, I think everything went through Fort Meade or whatever, but generally.
Well, yeah, everything goes through Fort Meade because the money has to come through taxpayers because the money goes here and then comes back and the stock, So anyway, yeah, it goes through Fort Meade, but I'm trying to remember.
Well, Aegis was only on battleships and destroyers and I don't think it was on cruisers, was it?
I don't think they have Aegis cruisers, but they might. But they could have some of these Oliver Hazard Perry. This is a 1970s design. These went into service in 1977. They built 52 of them, and they're selling them at bargain basement prices because they're diesel. First off, they're not, like the Aegis ones have.
Wait, this is non-green warfare?
Don't we care about
I am outraged by this.
Well,
I think we need wind-powered subs. That's going to be my. That's my new thing. I want wind-powered subs for everyone.
It was green. I almost had a green event here. I almost spit green tea on my MacBook. This is going to be a greening.
Nice.
Rebel Civic screening. No, these are diesel, but actually the diesel ones are a lot better. You know what?
No, the diesel are cool because they're quieter underneath the water.
They use less fuel.
Yeah.
You know what Aegis uses? They're GE turbine engines out of a Boeing 707. They got 2 of them. They use a lot of fuel. They run on Jet A.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think I can say all this. I think that's known. Anyway, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry.
Show up at Keith's.
NSA, yeah. If you hear a knock, I'm going to be under the bed. I'm going to finishing the show from my cell phone under the bed.
I mean, do you remember? It's all old. This is just a stupid. This is a stupid aside, but I remember being how shocked I was. I remember how shocked I was at when I first started. It was before L3. It was when I was at Lockheed, and it was before when you first start working. They're waiting for your clearance because it takes. The FBI always has backups
forever.
So you're waiting for your clearance. So at first, I was put on like a less classified thing, and I was obviously not allowed to see any classified information. And I was like, I'm new out of college doing this. And I remember I had a question about something, and I asked my mentor person, and he was like, "Oh, mentor person. Just go." Well, there was like an engineer assigned to the newbie, which was me. Like, go,
Now I'm just thinking about like mentors that aren't persons.
Yeah, it's mentor person. It's a good
pig.
Anyway, what could have been a puppy.
Yeah, now I'm excited.
So, my mentor was like, well, just go down in the library and check out Jane's Fighting Ships. And I said, no, I need like the actual number. I can't have, what the public thinks the number is. Like, I need the actual classified data. And my mentor looked at me and was like, Go look at Jane's Fighting Ships. I was like, it's like everything's basically known. Like there's a like what the Russians know about the U.S. is like what we know about each other penetrates several layers of classified information. I mean, there's a top layer where it's very difficult, but for the lower level classified stuff, it's like you're like preventing Libya from finding out, but Moscow knows. Right? It's like,
amazing.
Right.
Yeah, we got a super.
Oh,
chat.
Look at this. Your friend Paul says he works on Aegis for 7 years.
Yeah. 7 years.
Which 7? Did it overlap?
You don't have to tell us.
I don't know. Yeah, which 7 and where were you?
$2 more. We'll read what years you played.
I'll read it even if you didn't.
I'll just tell your friend Paul. I worked on Aegis for 15 years.
Double.
If you worked during the years. Well, I worked on some other things too. Some of which I can talk about. Some of which I'd have to check first. But on Aegis, I don't.
You worked at CSEDS. He worked at CSEDS.
He worked at CSEDS. That's where Carter worked before I met him.
Did
you work? No, I worked at the Morristown Lockheed.
Oh, Morristown.
But they hired CSEDS to do everything basically.
To do the dirty work.
You just pressed buttons and wrote paperwork. It was
I worked in Camden. I'm the system architect of the interior communication system on the Aegis. There's that. I have to. I don't want to talk too much more about Aegis, but I worked on it. I've spent a week at sea on an active duty Aegis ship. Yeah,
Beverly, I think we're being entrapped.
They're fun. They're
Why?
fun.
How so?
It's
because around a lot of beds.
Steering wheel like a
okay.
I you know what? I didn't work on Aegis very much because I only did it for like a year or two. And then I moved to Camden, and I didn't work on Aegis at all on Camden.
Yeah. Keep saying that we did not work on Aegis. None of this is Aegis.
Aegis.
But
I worked on C&D and Spy. If you know, like I'm sure. Carter
worked on. Let's just say Carter worked on the funner part. Like
I did.
I just worked on the things that help people talk to each other and talk back to DC.
Well, then
to
I
say
moved
who
to
bomb.
that part later. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I worked on. Anyway, so I was going to move on to the other unrelated. So another story. This is totally unrelated news to what we've been talking about.
Okay.
But I don't know how much you want to stay on that topic, but so this is my unrelated news I was looking up. Northrop Grumman's up 46% year to date.
Wow.
Lockheed Martin's up 37%.
Put this in the context. Do you have a comparison chart with the S&P 500? I think that would be useful.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. It's
hold on.
Why don't you look at that? I'll show you. So yeah, Northrop Grumman.
You do that. I'll find
like so. The question is, Northrop Grumman's now. It was 540.55, but the trouble is, this was this morning when I got up. It's like 5:43 now. I don't know if the House vote helped, but this is a buy alert. This is an Unsafe Space community buy alert, because this is going to go up. It's only 540 now. It's probably a bargain. So this is a nice curve.
Wow.
Here's 540. It's up year to date. It's up $155.02. That's pretty good.
Wait, are you sure?
Well, I don't know. I got it from the New York.
Oh yeah,
Stock
no.
Exchange.
Here we are. Okay. Hold on. I'm gonna.
New York. It is up a little more. So if you update it, this was 8 a.m. this morning. So yeah, it's up a couple dollars.
I'm gonna share.
I should have bought it this morning. I should have bought it this morning when I saw the article.
Yeah.
All right, here before you share. Here's
Nancy Pelosi's already made a whole bunch of money.
Here's Lockheed. I got Lockheed Martin's too. Lockheed Martin is not as good a deal. It's only 37% this year, up $131. So you could have made $155 if you went with Northrop Grumman.
Wow.
Lockheed Martin makes a lot of electronics. Those are not as good as Northrop Grumman makes like fun
Okay,
stuff
Keith.
Like fighter planes.
All right. This is the blue line. This is year to date.
Blue.
The blue line is Northrop Grumman. The dark blue line at the top is Northrop Grumman.
Wow.
And the bottom two are the S&P 500 and NASDAQ. Those are the comparisons.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
They're having a great year.
Yeah.
look at that. You're outperforming the stock market. Who'd have thought?
Stock market. Oh, and by the way, the S&P 500 and NASDAQ have like a good chunk of the 13 trillion that's been printed the last couple of years.
That's right.
Thrown
Yes.
in there.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of that went. But no, that can't keep up with war.
Oh, in fairness, I think they had a lot of that way back in January, and then started to,
that's
pay the piper.
true. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You'd have to go back 3 years.
Yeah.
To see that.
We can go here. We can do 5 years. Here's 5 years easily. They're about 5 years. They're about the same as you can see.
Okay, folks.
This is ridiculous. So you can see. Look. Here's Northrop Grumman on the bottom. This is actually super interesting. Here's Northrop Grumman.
What is
they're
that?
not getting a bunch of. They're not getting a bunch of infusion from the Fed. Right.
Well,
they're not getting.
Let's. I want to back up. Can you back up to that dip there?
Which one?
See
one?
that low? Yeah, right there. Now this looks like the first couple months of 2020. You know what happened there?
Right.
The vaccine came out.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, of 2020?
In other unrelated news.
That was when COVID just happened.
This is when
Yep.
COVID hit.
When COVID
Vaccine
hit.
came out here. So COVID hit here. Relief packages start and massive quantitative easing, massive Fed printing. Northrop Grumman doesn't get the benefits of the Fed printing as much, but S&P and NASDAQ do.
I beg to differ. They get quite a bit of that because they get first use of the dollars. Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, L3 Harris, they're Pentagon contractors. They
get first use of the dollars, but they didn't get. They weren't specifically funded, but yes, okay.
They weren't. They get funded through the Pentagon, but they needed a good war. There wasn't a.
But you see the difference. You see the S&P and NASDAQ break away, and pop back down, and now Northrop is having, as we showed before. Here's the year to date again. They are up 37.2% year to date. S&P's down 17.97, and NASDAQ's down 30.49. So there you go. I don't know.
So
wow,
it's not an economics show, and this is way too high level to actually say anything useful. And but whatever, still, it's interesting.
All the people need to know is $155 stock increase this year, like for selling weapons to fund World War III, right? I think that's okay. But just so everybody knows, we cover all the news, unrelated stories to the war.
Yeah,
they must be run really well. You know, one of the best investments. You know, the best ROI, the best return on investment for a corporation, defense company, to lobby in DC.
Oh, it's to lobby. Yeah,
obviously. Lobby in DC. You can't. There's no such thing as a better return on investment for a defense.
No, you think about it. Let's say you pay a lobbyist, even if you pay a single lobbyist a few $1,000,000, he can return billions. If you have a whole lobbying organization, fun, yeah, totally.
Yeah. Just what happens if you manage to keep a senator in office? What do you get for that? What's the return on investment with that?
Ron Green said, "I thought Boeing bought Lockheed Martin." I didn't think that. Do you know about this, Keith?
Boeing
They're still traded
Lockheed Martin
independently.
NASDAQ has Lockheed Martin Corp as a separate publicly traded stock. So if I didn't hear that happened.
No, me neither.
I mentioned L3 Harris because Harris
did buy L3, right? Or they merged or something.
I don't know which way it went. I have trouble keeping up. I retired. I was in L3 when I retired. It had a different name then.
Yeah.
And full disclosure, I'm still getting some money out of it. So it's not enough to survive on, but maybe will my retirement go up? Like L3 Harris did pretty good too. I think they were in the plus 30-something%. I still have some left from my work there. Sure. of all my investing, I'm no expert on investing, but the best thing I did this year by a lot is I just was too stupid to pull some of the money I still had in L3 Harris out. I just kind of left it there thinking, oh man, I shouldn't leave that much in one stock. That's like the number one rule, but turns out that was the best stock I had this year. But yeah, I won't go into there. Okay.
All right.
That's enough.
Beverly, we're going to put you on the spot.
Hi, Beverly.
What's the biggest news this week for you, Beverly?
For me?
What do you say the biggest news of the week is?
Around
You're
the
literally
world.
A newspaper reporter now.
I know, but I mean, I can tell you about locally. Like, I just went to the last Tarbell tea of the season. So Ida Tarbell, the journalist. So she's like the muckraker is what she's known as. She's from here, so they do Tarbell teas and do historical things. So I just was there, taking pictures of the event. All of the Christmas stuff happened the first weekend of it, so everyone had their craft and vendor Christmas shows at the same time. So I was just hopping from one to the other and doing a bunch of interviews and things on that. So nothing. Oh, there was a shooting not this week but recently nearby, so that was exciting. Someone got shot by a shotgun in the leg. I think it was a drug deal. It was outside the fire department.
Isn't it up?
What? I didn't hear.
Why are they doing drug deals outside of fire department?
I don't know. Yeah, because it was like an out of town fire department, and then it was like 2 a.m. There was some sort of argument, and I don't think the guy who shot him was even the driver of the car when he fled. So that happened. My other news is JDA wants you to respond to him, Carter. He thinks
I know he has a question, but I don't have an answer yet. I'll respond to him after that. Here's the problem. I was enthralled with the Argentina game, and then we were on. I'll text him right afterwards.
Yeah, he's feeling lonely.
Don't feel lonely, John. Come on here. Should I send him a link?
Yeah.
Feel lonely.
See if he's around.
Hold on. I'll send him a link so he doesn't feel lonely. And is he even on Twitter? Where is he?
He's on Twitter.
Is he?
I guess how do I do this? I can send him. Well, yeah, I'll send him.
All right, Julia, what do you think is the
Discord?
You're gonna send him a link?
Yeah.
Oh, he's in Discord too, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I have no communication channels open other than text for him.
Gosh,
Julia,
what do I think the biggest story of the week is?
The Twitter files too.
Well, Twitter file. I mean, honestly, I hit like rage mode this morning, as we discussed in our team meeting this week, it gets really infuriating when people are like, oh my gosh, they were shadow banning people, even though they said they weren't. And all of us are like, we know.
Duh.
Like, we have been saying this for years. And now everybody's like, oh, wow, look, there's evidence. No, the evidence was that it was happening.
Just confirming. Yeah.
Right, I guess. I don't know. But
just to us, like, we already knew it. So they're just like, yeah, like, okay, thank you, finally.
Right. It's kind of like the same thing with like, oh, wow, masks were actually bad for kids. Great. Thank you for confirming that. Yeah.
Who would have known?
Right. Anyone with a small child could see that like right away. Yeah.
Whenever I hold like something over top of children's mouths, like they don't like it. It's been so weird, and I've tried it like
but I just keep holding it there because it's for their own good.
Yeah, everything is.
That's what I keep telling them.
Eventually, they stop complaining.
Not to steal
the chloroform.
Keith's story of the week, but on the Brittany Griner thing, I don't know how many people saw this. What do I click? There's so many options to share my screen.
I got it.
You did it? Okay, thank you. Okay. So it turns out...
this is good.
While our favorite arms dealer was a fugitive, the United States was paying him, his company, to fly supplies to Iraq for us.
I'm shocked and appalled that our government would have anything to do with an unsavory character, an arms dealer who supplies terrorists, Juliet. I demand an investigation.
It's crazy. How do I... Okay. I'm going to... Hold on. I have a different one. Part 2.
There is an article, You got
another one. Why she's sharing that. I just want to ask a question why she's getting the share. Is that company publicly traded stock? What's the tickers?
Oh, I don't think it is.
The one that delivers arms to...
I think it's got to be defunct now because he's been in jail, right?
Yeah, so apparently $60 million were paid to his companies to help us fly supplies to Iraq, including lots of free, not including, the $60 million is just the payment. Then we also gave them millions of dollars of free fuel, which makes very little sense because we have a lot of planes and pilots.
Well,
yes, but
it doesn't make
we
sense
need a plane or
it doesn't make sense at first glance, but there's a reason.
Wasn't Barry Seal also on the payroll as well? Hold on.
I mean, one thing I think. I mean,
no. Go ahead.
A couple thoughts come to mind. So, did you define what supplies are? And who they were going to?
Right, yeah.
That could be related. That could be related. Another thing that could be related, it's a lot harder now for the Air Force to bring cocaine back into the U.S. and sell it on the open market through the CIA. Like, that used to be a real easy way to pay for guns, But, the last decade or two, ever since they framed Oliver North for that, so there's that possibility that they were returning something that it would have been difficult or complicated for the Air Force to bring back.
Certainly.
Opium is complicated for us.
There's also, now the public's getting a little testy about how much we've been supplying to Ukraine. So this is a perfect time for him to be set free.
I mean, it's getting almost to the point, if Thomas Massie and I think Rand Paul and some of the others, like, it's almost to the point where they might actually check where all the arms went that they sent to Ukraine. They might end up having to do that. They don't want to. They're kicking and screaming, but they might get forced to
As
check.
if Ukraine kept records. Come on. Just light the building on fire. They'll be like, oh no, we have no idea what happened to all of those things.
I mean, like Dave Smith says at the beginning of every podcast, if you want to know who America's next enemy is, just see who we're funding today. Yeah. So what we can do to find this out is just be patient. I'm very patient. So if we just wait, like, say, 2, 3, 4 years. Just see who's dropping American
There'll be a bunch of Ukrainian
RPGs
terrorists
on our Marines. You know? Like that'll tell us where they went.
Yeah. Someone in chat says the guy is like, what does he say? He's like a mafia boss from a movie. Well, yeah. In fact, the movie's called Lord of War, which was inspired by the guy.
Yeah,
is that his name?
Yeah. DSM-6 says sometimes it's easiest just to pay other people to move things. Yeah, except a third party. Except for this is like paying a fourth party, because literally like we paid contractors and then the contractors paid him.
Yeah, and you can add the fifth step was that your grandchildren will pay the bill.
That's right. Yeah. Or not.
Well, collab. DSM asked an important question, which I would prefer not to answer. Do we have RPGs? I don't know if anybody else wants to answer that.
I do.
Role-playing games?
Yes, Beverly has a trove of RPGs at her house.
I do. If you need
all right.
D&D, Savage Worlds.
Do we need to define that?
Pony.
It's rocket-propelled grenades.
Oh.
No,
role-playing game.
I didn't know that one. It's rocket-propelled grenades. Yeah, so...
Who needs those when we have
I
bladey drones that just like get you right on your balcony?
Well, they're handy.
I'm sure
RPGs are handy. Now, how many? If we like, I try to never use this, even though I make the mistake myself. Like when I say we did this, we did that, I really try not to mean the U.S. government.
It means us.
I didn't.
Us four.
I mean us four. Yeah. No. But if the question by we, which is the way a lot of people use it, they mean the U.S. government. The U.S. government has some RPGs left, but they've been handing them over to Ukraine at the rate, like daily rate of production for a month. So the whole production for things like RPGs, ammo for NATO-style weapons, the missiles they shoot helicopters down with, all that stuff. The production of that stuff is generally designed for the last 20, 30 years, like Afghanistan, Iraq. Those are low-level wars compared to what's going on in Ukraine. I don't have any numbers handy, but it's roughly like 1 month's worth of production is being used every day in Ukraine. So they're depleting the stores, and that is not something that's easy to find out with a inactive security clearance. But they're depleting the stores of the U.S. substantially.
Like a bad strategy.
If the backup plan is World War III is with China, it's a bad strategy. Yeah, they can't ramp up production of missiles in 6 months. Like that's just, they're hard. Patriot missiles are not. You don't
I think you guys are missing the point. You don't need any of this for nuclear war.
Oh, true. Or one world government either. There will be no wars.
That's true.
The wars will be against the population, not each other. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we've seen this already because we've seen it. Well, we definitely know what the military does this all the time, and we're now starting to see it in cities across the U.S. San Francisco, just past this, and Dallas has done it before. Like we're moving to a world where robots do the dirty work, right? So, and I'm putting robots to include drones and that kind of stuff. So, a lot of the handheld infantry weapons that you would think you need for a war, I guess are less important because you've got drones, doing stuff, and you're just
true.
Drones terrifying. And robots. Yeah. So,
Demon Slayer pointed out their man pads, man portable air defense systems. They're called, but I just think
that's like the least coolest name for that.
Man pads.
I mean, we're talking on YouTube, we're chatting on YouTube. I didn't want to assume any gender on YouTube. I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah. It could be they pads, zer pads.
They pads, zer pads.
Lady pads.
Zer pads.
It's so weird how we all live in fear of the oppressed minority in society now. Like, I don't want to like assume a gender in the chat. It's like, we're on YouTube. We could get in big trouble. No, it's like, it's very strange.
I'm not. We're supposed to. By we, you mean people other than us four.
And
most of the people in chat.
Yeah.
I don't think
in general, not the specific.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I better check behind my green
erectus
screen. No, I don't see anybody behind my green screen.
There's been a lot of outrage from the left over like the saying that Elon is censoring leftist accounts now. Did you see all these Twitter accounts? Yeah, because he started to actually ban Antifa accounts who were like,
oh yeah,
seriously calling for violence and saying like, we're going to meet here and burn down a Tesla factory or whatever. Like, oh, okay. Like people that were actually doxing people and like we all know Antifa does.
Right.
And now the left is like, I think he's shutting down leftist accounts. He's biased. I really like the Schadenfreude. I'm only bringing that up because it makes me smile.
Yes.
Watch the Avenue Q.
What?
Schadenfreude is a song in Avenue Q, the musical. If you haven't heard it, you should listen to it.
I've seen the musical. I saw it on Broadway. I just forgot that there was a Schadenfreude.
Yeah, that's the one that sticks out outside of the internet is for porn song, but Schadenfreude.
Yeah, that's the one I heard.
It's on Broadway? No. When did they make a Broadway musical about QAnon?
Avenue QAnon would be a great. That's the parody we need to make, Keith.
Yeah, it's all done in puppets.
Yeah.
Starting January 4th.
Avenue QAnon. Yeah.
January 4th, new show on Unsafe Space. Avenue QAnon.
Let's write this musical.
Oh, sorry. We're going to written content.
Well, that's for something that special.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we could swing it. I don't know what else we got. Let me look.
One of my big news too is we're getting a Taco Bell in town.
What?
That's the thing. It got confirmed. They tore down the Perkins and things have been voted in. We used to have one like 20 years ago, and now getting one again. Very
congratulations. That is exciting.
Thank you. Love me some TB.
I think we got into this once before. I live in South Florida, like an hour from a huge Cuban population. Like Taco Bells don't seem to do that well. But then Beverly said, "Nope." She looked it up in Miami. That's full of Taco Bells.
I don't even remember.
Really?
You looked it up. You fact checked me because I never seen one where I live. I don't even know of one around here.
I'm not going to go to Taco Bell for like Mexican or Hispanic food, or by no means, no. But
I thought you had to go to New Jersey. No, you fact checked that a few years ago. You fact checked me. Yeah, I'm fine. I just didn't know. But.
Maybe you just didn't believe that like there couldn't be Taco Bells not existing on this part of the country at least.
Someone's mocking us saying breaking news on this show. Yeah, we invited Beverly is the problem.
No, I don't think
it all goes downhill.
I don't know if I want to bring up Taco
Thanks
Bell.
So
Here
much.
you get like, no me gusto the tacos de la Diablo. No.
No, they're mostly white in this town. I'm surprised whenever I see a minority. That's not me if I'm not looking in the mirror.
No, say it aren't you. You don't count.
Well, I'm already used. Sometimes I surprise myself, but.
Wait, do gingers count as minorities?
No, maybe. Oh. I don't know. I try not to look at them.
That must be tough.
I mean, there's two other minorities here.
What are those?
White cisgender males.
Yeah. Actually, libertarians are definitely a minority.
Yeah.
White cisgender anarchist males.
Yeah. Okay. Here, do you guys see this? Not the advertisement.
50% improvement.
Suspected German coup plot spawns dozens of arrests. Did you guys see this?
Oh, yikes. Yeah, they were arresting people all over the place in Germany.
They arrested a bunch of, they claim that they're right-wingers. It's hard to tell because, everything's a right-winger, but maybe they are.
Right.
But It was a judge and like a prince who I guess like contain like he keeps his prince title even though they don't really have princes in Germany, and like a former special forces dude, and they were they say they were plotting to overthrow the German government, but they also say they're not really sure if it was drunken talk or actual plotting.
Oh.
So, like, I just imagine like a bunch of German guys in bars bitching about the government, and the next thing you know, there's like, it was like 3,000 officers involved in this raid all across the country. Yeah, they detained 22 German citizens. Yeah, 3,000 officers, 150 sites in 11 of Germany's 16 states. They detained 22 German citizens.
That seems excessive.
Yeah, well, but they got them. No, you don't have to worry anymore.
Again. Right.
Yeah, we don't have to worry anymore about the 64-year-old former German officer who he was going to take the whole place down.
Yeah.
That's,
alone.
Now, I'm just wondering what you guys think. Is this more of an insurrection or less of an insurrection than January 6th? Who wins on the insurrection?
Ooh.
In the insurrection contest, Germany or the United States?
Wow. Do we have to choose?
I know. It's like 20 people or
but they were talking about overthrowing and they were drunk.
Wow.
And they were drunk.
And they're right wing.
That's how the best insurrections happen.
So
did anybody have big horns? They have a helmet with big horns?
No, they did not have the horns. And as far as I know, Nancy Pelosi's office was not.
Were they armed?
Podiums? Yeah. Did they take podiums?
The gravel? I don't know if they have a gravel.
Listen, in Germany's defense, there was a lot of planning of things during the revolution in America at taverns. So
shut down all taverns. You're right.
You have to be really careful when groups of people start talking coups while drinking, because you just never know.
Well, this is the thing that strikes me about this story is, as far as I can tell, it's all talk. There's not hard evidence of anything. Like, there's not like they didn't say, "Oh, we confiscated bombs and like plans how to do anything." It's just banter. But maybe there's something real there.
I don't think shutting down taverns, in Germany would go over well. That would be like Stalin shutting down the flow of vodka. Like, no, they never did that. You did that. That would be the stupidest thing in the world. I worked with a company when I was back at work with Hagenhoek, which is a defense electronics company in Germany, and I've been there a bunch of times in the 90s. And I was there when they decided to stop selling draft beer at the defense contractors' lunch table, and that was a huge deal. That was coup. Well,
that was the original German coup.
Yeah. They were like in the 90s, you could take if you took the Autobahn, the highway, a couple 100 miles to Berlin, there's a state-run rest stop halfway through, and you can't get off. There's fences. There's no exits. And in the middle of it, you can get gas. Well, this is right when the Berlin Wall came down. But when the Berlin Wall was up, yeah, you could drive from Hamburg to Berlin, and I've done it. You need a huge Mercedes to make it by dinner time, but yeah, it can be done. That's a sign in what roads are like in the way Germans.
But you were going to tell us something about the rest stop.
Halfway through, there's a rest stop where you can get gas and something to eat. Run by the state. It looks just like the one on the Florida Turnpike, and they have 4 different kinds of draft beer.
Like, the only place you could be coming from or going to is the highway.
Yeah, the only place. There's no exits. You're
just love that.
Riding. There's a huge chain link fence with, razor wire, and if you go by a town, it's a Soviet bloc. A town of a couple thousand with all exactly the same house, and you're just driving. Oh, and you're going 120. Everybody's going 100. Like the Volkswagens, they tend to only go maybe 100, 110. We had rented a big Mercedes because there was 4 of us from work, so we were doing like 130, 140 the whole way. And these Porsches go Like, wow, how fast is that guy going? One thing you never do is you never sit in the left lane. Never sit in the left lane.
We shouldn't do that here.
Anyway, I got
public service announcement.
Don't sit in the left lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you're the fastest car.
We were there on Friday. Like, this is kind of getting into what, and Germany, I think, is still like Germans. Just the difference, like I say, you can't take away their beer. But one of the differences between Germans is like Germans, you tell them, don't drive dangerously on the highway, and Germans go, okay, and they do. They don't need a speed limit. You just tell them, and you see like a hippie-looking kid that's like 20 in a kind of a rusty Volkswagen. He's sitting in the right lane, putting along at 65. Like, that's no, you shouldn't go faster than that. And then there's a Porsche doing 150. Like, that's fine there. It's actually safer than U.S. highways. At least it was in the 90s. I haven't been here since then. We were working. I'll finish in 1 minute. We were working. We had to stay over the weekend, and the guy said we're in Kiel, which is all the way up by the Baltic. It's pretty far. And he said, oh, you should go to Berlin for the weekend. And we're looking at the map, like, Berlin, that's like 300, I don't know how far it was, 250 miles or something. Well, I don't want to go there on the weekend. He was like, no, there's great restaurants there. Go for dinner. Like, go for dinner. It's like Friday. We're working till 5. And he goes, no, you could, when do you need to eat? And we're like, well, you can make it by 7. 7, it's like 280 miles or something. Oh, no problem. You can make by 7, And we did. We went to Berlin. It's amazing what a German-built 6-speed manual, huge Mercedes. It just like tools along at like 125. Blah, 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 blah.
It's crazy.
You don't even know. Yeah. But yeah, everybody drives safe. Anyway, that's like Germans are different in a lot of ways. At least they were in the 90s. The Germans now, from what I've heard, and I have a sister who lived in Austria for 10 years, speaks German, and my niece is a German major in college. They know a lot about it. It ain't the same. It's changed a lot. So we're not. I don't have a news report, but anyway.
Well, I think most of the West has deteriorated, and it's probably not just Germany. Is there anything in people in chat? Is there anything any topics news topics from the week that you want us to cover that we didn't cover? Because we've gone for an hour, and we're trying to really not do more than an hour. And
we gotta hang in there for a bit, though. JDA is gonna hop on.
Well, but if we want him to feel the love, what we do is we end it right before
right.
He hops on. What's taking him so long?
He was asleep.
Oh, geez.
He can't complain that I'm not texting him back when he's asleep. It's not
true. Valid.
All right. Well, Beverly, then.
140. Well, let's see what people. My neon. Do you have a neon DSM-6? I really want a Dodge Neon. Anyone in the Western PA area selling a Dodge Neon?
My neon cruises. I love German cars. Somebody said he had 335i twin turbo.
Thoughts on Yay? 135.
Thoughts on Yay? I mean, I've had so many thoughts on Yay. I wrote an article on Yay. You can listen to the article on Yay. You know what? I was on Lee Stranahan's show yesterday, and I really think Yay needs a mentor. That's what I think he needs. I think. Hey, John. John, do you want to be Ye's mentor? We're looking for a mentor for Yay.
John disavowed
I love Yay. Oh, I shouldn't say that.
It was close.
That's like the fastest band appearance. Yeah. Like, hi, John. Band.
I meant I love Carter in the Unsafe Space channel. That's what I was meant to say. Yes.
Sure. Yeah. I'm sure that's what you're about to say.
Yes.
I'll text you after the show. I heard you're whining to Beverly.
I got to whine to somebody. I mean, you don't respond to my texts anymore. And, you're leaving me hanging.
Oh, you're breaking up publicly like this? Wow. Who are we going to side with? Do I have to choose?
I thought this was a news show.
John can have you on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, Beverly. And I know it's supposed to be a news show. We just
this is all news.
Too soon, Carter. Too soon.
John, what is what is the news of the week that's not that's like real news, not like Beverly news?
that's not like Hitler related. Let's see. Is there any news of the week? I've been kind of out of it. I'm really hungover, so I have no idea.
I can't tell at all.
I guess the biggest news is Vic Mignogna streaming with no pants on.
yeah,
so
yeah.
I do have pants on. Just want to show. Just I think that's important to
I don't
show.
even know who that is.
He's a voice actor. He's a voice actor, and he was on Simpcast with Chrissy Mayer, and then the camera fell, and he was not wearing pants.
Was he wearing underwear, or was he completely?
It looked like underwear, but it wasn't like it was like thong kind of underwear that.
Yeah, it was awkward, Carter.
See,
yeah,
I didn't see a thing, but it was
Should we all stand up now to prove that we are?
Oh no, I have real news though.
Okay.
In that, the Daily Kos. I'll actually pull up the article so you can, everybody's favorite, the Daily Kos, right? Totally real news. Did this to my friend Mike Baron. Now, Mike Baron was the writer for Punisher from like 1991 to 1993. Really, he's the guy who made the Punisher from like a Spider-Man villain into like the character that kind of we know, into like that vigilante kind of anti-hero type character. And so he's a good friend of my channel and all that, of course. And he's got a new book, which is a book about a Border Patrol agent stopping fentanyl dealers from coming over the border. It's called The Private American.
It sounds racist AF. That's what
I
think.
The best part about the racist, the private, the best part about the character is you can tell this is a white supremacist Nazi character that he's got right here. And so they did that.
You got the little snake.
When was it okay to like start titles of like actual articles that like input AF?
Right. I do that all the time in the newspaper.
I think it's I think it's the millennials, but it could be the Gen Zs. But I think it's
okay.
I want to blame the generation.
LOL and other acronyms too. In the physical paper.
Yeah.
Roughly around the same time we started allowing people whose name is Star Mignon.
Star Mignon. Isn't that bothersome just by itself that exists?
Wait, there are two R's.
I like the name Star.
So unnecessary.
Oh, that's a name.
I like it with two R's.
Should we look up Star Mignon?
I know people with that last name with two stars.
Not if we're gonna find something that's gonna get us banned.
I know there's a solid chance, just judging by the way that name is spelled.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about
Star.
the Twitter feed or Instagram. Oh, here's the Instagram of Star Mignon.
Oh no, there's an Instagram.
I think so. Instagram doesn't allow naughtiness, right? Hold on.
Oh no, I wouldn't say that. I don't. Have you been on Instagram?
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm guessing. Actually, because I'm I have a life. All right, I know that's.
I'm guaranteeing you that Star Mignon does not look anything like this picture represents. That's my thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's Star Mignon. There's what Star looks like right there.
That is not what that picture looked like. No, not at all. Okay.
Yeah. So it's just stuff.
Selling.
Unless there's two people named Star Mignon.
Oh, that's a to quote Austin Powers, that's a man baby.
I've gotten to the point where now I'm just never sure. Like I can't. Could be, maybe. I don't know. Also, though, you take that Guy Fawkes mask off your profile, person. Can't call people racist.
But
it's an anon mask too, though, right? So, and they're like pro.
So that person's trying to cancel Mike Baron, and it worked. It got a mob yesterday to report the Private American Kickstarter campaign, and Kickstarter actually banned Mike Baron in the comic book yesterday. So they banned the book. It is now officially a banned book, and that's kind of the news. Very sad.
I'm sure they read it carefully.
Right. Yeah, of course. You know how that goes.
This is the problem. All the people that get fired from Twitter are going to be getting jobs other places and bring in their bring in their cancel culture. Let me show you how to do it, Kickstarter. This is how we did it at Twitter. Yeah.
So that's my news of the day. It's really sad, and I hope that Mike makes some money anyway. That's all I gotta say.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. Steph was asking a question that I had earlier, which is Star's sibling Filet? I keep thinking that. But
I was thinking that too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like that's not a very vegan name.
it's impossible Filet. You know.
Impossible Filet. Did you see, by the way, the other day there was a story about I don't know if it was Impossible, but it was one of those companies. There was like listeria and mold and crap all over their office.
Oh, gross!
Their facility. They got in trouble. Yeah. So not only
Impossible Burger.
Was it
Impossible Burger?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
and I had eaten an Impossible Burger for dinner the night before.
Oh, God.
Vegetarian.
Here's your SAT question of the day, I guess. That Impossible Burger is to meat as Star Mignon is to A, vegan, B, woman, C, that's all I got. You're just going to go with B.
You're going to have to go with B on that.
I don't know. That's a nothing burger.
Nice, Keith.
All right. Well, thanks for your contribution, John.
That's it. I contributed. Bye.
There he goes. Well, we should end it because I think we hit all the things that we want to talk about. And what?
Yeah. Everybody run.
Yeah, we should all run. So when I don't think he needs to come back. And I do want to end because I want to go do other stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you all for watching. And don't forget to go check out the abstract. And there is an audio version. So if you want to listen instead of read, reading is difficult for people nowadays. Well,
I can't do it.
Yeah, Beverly.
Every time I write, I have no idea what I'm even putting down.
No one else knows either. Yeah. But you go to unsafespace.com. You can sign up there. What else do we? I guess that's it, and we'll see you next week. Right? Is there anything else? Any final messages that we need to say, guys?
Juliet and I are streaming tonight.
Yay!
Oh,
okay, cool. Where?
What is it? It's only on Rumble, so it's rumble.com/c/thedimside at 10:30 Eastern.
There you go. Later, everyone. Thanks for watching. Take
Bye.
care. This production was made possible through the generous support of our members. To join our community, visit unsafespace.com. Unsafe Space is an online publication for individualists interested in subverting authoritarianism and ushering in the next enlightenment. For biting analysis and nourishing composition, or to sign up for our weekly news brief, The Abstract, visit unsafespace.com. Thanks for joining us today.
Warning. This is an unsafe space. Dangerous ideas have been detected. The content of this production has not been authorized for distribution on Apple devices. The following co-conspirators are hereby uninvited to Klaus Schwab's Winter Solstice Party. Please be advised that CBS News has paused activity on Unsafe Space while it continues to assess security. Central bank digital currency is a safe and secure way to protect you from Sam Bankman-Fried. If you think about it, no one should be allowed to express opinions. But don't. Think about it, I mean. That's not your job. Thinking has been scientifically proven to be less efficient than compliance. Science, scientific, and scientifically are registered trademarks of the World Economic Forum. Unauthorized use is prohibited. Computer voice courtesy. Never mind, that last line is misinformation. please disregard it and return to your safe space immediately. There will be cake.